Tonight, 3 women left traumatised, attacked by a stranger in Kings Park. One put in a chokehold, another force-fed dog food.
Nothing left. A ferocious fire rips through a Willagee home while police arrested the homeowner's son.
Kamala Harris meets her match on live TV as America's election campaign enters a frenetic final stretch.
Labor's $16 billion promise to wipe student debt, kickstarting the federal election campaign early.
A family home raided by an armed and violent gang in the middle of the night.
And going off the plan to buy your vote, who has the best blueprint to solve WA's housing crisis?
Live from Perth, 7 News with Tim McMillan and Angela Tsun.
Good evening. An elderly woman has been strangled and another was forced to eat dog biscuits during a bizarre and terrifying rampage through Kings Park.
The ordeal lasted 20 minutes. In that time, 3 women and a dog were attacked. Police say the person responsible is a 41-year-old mother.
3 women starting their day at Kings Park yesterday with no clue it would be the start of a nightmare. The War Memorial. Police say a woman indecently assaulted the victim twice before grabbing her phone and throwing it in the water. The shocking attack witnessed by a child. 10 minutes later, the 41-year-old woman allegedly struck again. This time, a woman in her 50s was walking her dog at the same spot. Police say she was kicked and punched repeatedly before being struck in the face with her own water bottle. It didn't end there. The attacker allegedly kicked her dog, causing it to yelp and run away, then tried to force dog biscuits into the woman's mouth before stealing one of her sandals. The third victim, a woman in her 70s, attacked just minutes later. Police say the woman indecently assaulted her before strangling her. When police arrived, officers say the 41-year-old woman behind the shocking attacks was still in Kings Park. She was arrested and overnight was charged with 11 serious offences. She didn't apply for bail when she faced court today. Tonight, she's behind bars as her 3 alleged victims recover from their ordeal. Rachel Tassica, 7 News.
A family home in Perth South has been destroyed after a fire broke out early this morning, forcing frightened neighbours to flee. Things took an even more intense turn when police swooped on a man watching from further up the street, understood to be the homeowner's son.
Erupting from the roof of a Willagee home, flames and smoke billow out as 000 calls flood in.
We've got a timber fibre house fully involved, unknown if anyone is inside.
I was terrified, scared, terrified. Never seen anything like that before.
You could feel the heat, and then it started getting quite smoky.
The blaze ignited around 7 a.m. 6 fire crews rushed to the scene on Hodge Street, but flames had already ripped through the property.
I just thought, I hope there's no one in there because it was, completely ablaze.
Luckily, nobody was. A man and woman who owned the home were at work when the fire began. Their 38-year-old son was arrested at the scene, but was later released by police. It's understood the family lived here for almost 40 years, but in just minutes this morning, the home was gone. Fire crews say it will now be demolished.
They're in shock, obviously, I think as we all would be, and obviously quite upset, as to losing the family home. And they built the house, so it's been with them their entire life.
The arson squad is treating the blaze as suspicious until it can be determined otherwise. They're calling for anyone with information to come forward. Nick Overall, 7 News.
To breaking news, and a prisoner has escaped custody, sparking a statewide manhunt. Let's go to Rachel Tasker. Rach, what more do we know?
And the woman escaped prison this afternoon. This is who the Rapid Apprehension Squad are looking for. 34-year-old Tsun Michaela Farrell. She escaped from the Baronia Pre-Release Centre for Women in Bentley. Officers say she was last seen heading towards Hayman Road. Ms Farrell is described as being dark-skinned, 160 centimetres tall, with brown hair and hazel eyes. She was last seen wearing a black T-shirt and long black pants. As with any escapee, members of the public are advised not to approach Ms Farrell as she may react in an unpredictable manner. Any sightings of her should be reported to police immediately on 131 444. Tim?
Rachel, thank you. One of America's most successful political families is being urged to vote against Donald Trump. The Cheneys have already endorsed Kamala Harris and now they're imploring George W. Bush to do the same. Tim Lester reports on the final weekend of campaigning as the celebrity endorsements and surprise cameos ramp up.
Gosh, I wish I could talk to someone who's been in my shoes, you know?
This impression, the closest Saturday Night Live has come to Kamala Harris. Until now.
I'm just here to remind you, you got this. Because you can do something your opponent cannot do. You can open doors.
I see what you did there, like to a garbage truck, right?
I don't really laugh like that, do I?
A little bit. Now, Kamala, take my Pamela.
A surprise appearance on the American TV institution.
And live from New York,
as more big-name entertainers speak out in fear of a Trump comeback.
I wrote that song shortly after the insurrection of January 6th.
Also spooked, the man who stared down snakes in far-off lands.
When dozens of former members of the Trump administration are sounding alarms, saying, for God's sake, don't do this again. You have to pay attention.
But one endorsement the Democrats want, they can't get.
I can't explain why George W. Bush hasn't spoken out, but I think it's time, and I wish that he would.
The only living US president who's not yet backed a candidate, Republican George W. Bush staying silent, but not his former White House spin doctor.
So this morning I re-upped my question to President Bush's office. An advisor said he's not going to insert himself into this political moment.
Madam President, thank you for making this.
3 days.
Vice President.
I appreciate that.
That will go viral, sure.
And not if a Republican challenger has anything to say about it.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here.
The two camps tracking one another so closely, they parked alongside each other.
The campaign's final few days are awash with rallies, but already almost half the total expected vote is locked in. 72 million Americans have already voted.
What do you think of Donald Trump?
I like him a lot. I like that he speaks his mind, and he's a God-fearing man, and I can see the Lord working through him.
He's a real man, and no wars, no inflation, very little inflation. Our borders are safe. He's good for the whole world.
There's no room for hate here. We have to do better for our children, for our women, health care, our elders.
The other candidate is cuckoo for Cocoa Pops.
The campaign's now all out to win the dwindling number of voters still yet to decide. In North Carolina, Tim Lester, 7 News.
And tonight after the news, join Michael Usher for a special edition of Spotlight covering the race to the White House. And 7's live coverage of the US presidential election count begins Wednesday morning.
An Australian man in an induced coma after a scooter accident is due to be back home on soil later tonight. Dylan Brown is set to be airlifted on a medevac flight after receiving life-threatening head injuries. The 21-year-old was holidaying in Bali when he crashed his motorbike on Tuesday. He was rushed to a local hospital with bleeding on the brain and has since undergone surgery. A GoFundMe has raised more than $135,000, including an anonymous $40,000 donation. It marks the 8th largest fundraiser in WA this year. Dylan's parents say they have been blown away by the generosity.
A 10-day manhunt for an alleged armed robber and arsonist has ended almost 400 kilometres away. Police had been searching for Ken Lilly after a violent armed robbery last month. The 39-year-old was chased through Nowagup in Perth's north by TRG officers on Tuesday. That's when it's alleged he also lit a fire to try and get away. He was arrested yesterday in Southern Cross.
The Prime Minister has vowed to slash debts for millions of students as he starts to lay the groundwork for the next federal election. It will save graduates thousands of dollars, but critics say those who did not go to university will be paying for it.
Anthony Albanese.
The election still months away.
sounds like the campaign's begun.
Inflation is falling, real wages are rising. Back-to-back budget surpluses and restored trade for our farmers, our growers and our winemakers.
The PM in Adelaide, in front of a crowd of Labor faithful and behind a new slogan.
Building better education for all. Building more homes for Australians.
Deputy Richard Miles targeting the opposition.
Australians will be worse off with Peter Dutton. Bullying and blocking instead of building. Wrecking and whinging instead of working.
And today's big pitch to voters.
A re-elected Labor government will take 20% off student debt for everyone who has one.
And 3 million Australians do, for the average debt of just over $27,000, a saving of around $5,500. It's a key issue for the Greens, demanding it should be cut now instead of July next year.
Student debt relief should not be dangled as a carrot or held hostage to the result of the next election.
The opposition labelling it unfair.
All Australians will pay the price. Where is the $16 billion going to come from?
Economist Chris Richardson welcomed yesterday's raising the income threshold for repaying debt as sensible, but called today's plans to wipe 20% of it.
Absolutely be reverse Robin Hood. It'd be taking money from people who never made it to uni, giving it to those who did. It'd be dumb.
Labor also promising to lock in more fee-free TAFE places, 100,000 a year from 2027.
Building Australia's future. Thanks very much.
Today's rally has been described as a political reset for the government, coming as the polls have gone from neck and neck to Labor falling slightly behind, plus a week of scrutiny over flight upgrades. The promise to cut student debt seen as appealing to younger voters especially, who may have been leaning towards the Greens. More of these events are expected in the coming weeks as Labor makes its case for a second term. Tim and Ange.
Paul, thank you. It's taking an army to help Spain recover from its worst natural disaster in living memory. 5 days on, locals are angry. They've largely been left on their own to help with the clean-up.
But now 10,000 troops are being deployed into the epicentre of Valencia's flood disaster zone.
It's a near impossible task. Chest deep, searching for survivors when they know hopes of finding any signs of life are now unlikely.
We are almost certainly talking about the most serious flooding that our continent has seen so far this century.
In this family home that stood for more than a century, belongings accumulated over lifetimes are tossed to the street.
That's my brother. He passed away in an accident. Everything that belonged to him, we had it here.
Esther Meyer's grandfather built this home. It survived the 1957 flood. Nearly 70 years later, her mother faced a second inside it.
That was agony for all the time. We didn't know anything.
For 24 hours, Esther and her husband didn't know whether the 94-year-old suffering dementia was alive.
That was a nightmare, actually.
This is the kitchen, the heart of any home, particularly here in Valencia, the birthplace of paella. These are the traditional cast iron pans used to cook it on traditional ovens for generations of family members sharing together. Now they've come again, this time from different parts of the globe, not to share food, but to help rebuild. A volunteer army doing the work many families wish the military would.
We feel abandoned. There are many people who need help.
This week, 2,500 personnel were deployed. Only today, a further 10,000 were sent in. Specialist searchers confirming more than 200 deaths, which many residents believe were avoidable. In Valencia, Ben Downey, 7 News.
Parts of Bassendean were locked down for hours last night after reports of a man armed with a gun. Just before 9:30, TRG officers stormed a home on Walter Road East. They searched the property and surrounds but say they did not locate any firearms.
Sorry for stealing your thunder there, Ange. The stakes have been raised in the battle to convince the voting public who has the best plan to solve WA's housing crisis. The WA Liberals plan to dig deep into the budget surplus to fast-track development. Here's Jeff Parry.
WA's housing crisis is rooted in too many people chasing too few properties and not enough development in the pipeline.
We are simply not building enough homes.
It's estimated WA needs to build more than 25,000 homes every year to keep up with demand. We're around 10,000 short of that number. In February last year, the government announced an $80 million fund to offset development costs.
It's not worked. It's not enough, and there's not enough uses for it.
The Liberals say in government they'll trump Labor's $80 million, promising to invest $500 million towards infrastructure development.
We need enabling infrastructure to unlock land parcels, to produce more land, to provide more housing, and that is one of the most affordable ways to produce housing in Western Australia.
The infrastructure plans of both Liberal and Labor don't address one critical issue, the shortage of trades in residential construction. The Liberals blame Labor's obsession with Metronet.
They sucked the capacity out of the residential building sector and then expected the builders to pick up the pieces and try and build the homes we needed and to develop the land we needed.
Today, Labor was hailing the success of its scheme to offer property owners up to $10,000 cash to convert their short-term rentals or vacant homes to long-term tenancy.
These programs were due to wrap up this week, but I'm really pleased to announce that we're extending them now for a further 6 months.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Aussie star Margot Robbie has become a mum. It's believed the 34-year-old went into labour shortly before her due date, giving birth to a healthy baby boy. Her mother is now flying from Australia to meet the newborn. Margot's husband, Tom Ackerley, has been seen stocking up on baby supplies near their LA home.
Still to come tonight, final pulse check.
The countdown to the US election day. We take you to the American town where Donald Trump claimed pets were being eaten.
A major development in the rape claims against Russell Brands.
A family home in Melbourne raided by an armed and violent gang in the middle of the night.
Plus, the search for a cure for Parkinson's disease, how you can help. That's next.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want. Download now.
King Charles and Queen Camilla might have missed WA on their recent tour, but West Aussies have had a brush with royalty. The Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, is in WA to promote a children's book deal with Perth-based publisher Serenity Press.
Books are important. Yes, you can look at things. Yes, you can have Audible. Yes, you can have podcasts. Yes, you can listen. But what about actually using your imagination to dive into the pages?
The Duchess held book signings in Bunbury and Busselton earlier this week. Her new book, Fabulous Food Art, is due later this month.
It was a presidential debate stage lie that ignited the internet. Donald Trump's claim that Haitian migrants were eating local pets. It caused a world of pain for residents in the city of Springfield, with voters there telling 7 News it's become a top issue ahead of this week's election. David Woywood reports from Ohio.
In Springfield, Ohio, they're still barking mad.
It blew my wig back.
Over a lie picked up and amplified by a former president.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
There is no truth to any of it.
It was a nonsense. A nonsense that sparked bomb threats, school closures, and a deep suspicion within this community.
And I'm walking with my dog, and I'm just hoping they don't think I'm Haitian and I'm walking my dinner.
That was like, wow. That was like you got hit with a brick.
15,000 Haitian Americans live and work legally in Springfield.
It was unexpected that you'd have that kind of influx of immigrants coming in, but there were jobs here.
Their arrivals stretched city services here. It caused tension, and Trump's comments, they say, only fanned that.
It seems like somebody has some kind of sharp, device or knife, and they keep pushing it through your chest. Our children go to school and get bullied. This is gonna leave a scar for a long time.
The salacious and outlandish lies amplified by Donald Trump on that debate stage have long since been debunked. But the hurt caused by those comments, well, it lives on here in Springfield, Ohio.
I was a Republican, but I'm not now.
We may still remain Republican, but we may end up voting the other way around.
Has it hurt this community?
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
It's divided it.
But right now, division is not unique to Springfield.
Come here, Giddy.
In Springfield, Ohio, David Woywood, 7 News.
The UK Conservative Party has a new leader, with Kemi Badenoch replacing Rishi Sunak at the helm of the Tories. Badenoch becomes the first black woman to lead a British political party.
The time has come to tell the truth, to stand up for our principles, to plan for our future.
The historic appointment even drawing praise from her new rival, Labor Prime Minister Keir Starmer, calling it a proud moment.
There's been a major development in the sexual assault allegations against Russell Brand. Prosecutors have been asked to consider bringing charges against the comedian and actor. Accusations of rape, assaults and emotional abuse surfaced in a UK documentary last year. They date back to between 2006 and 2013. Police now say Brand has been interviewed on 3 occasions, with a file of evidence passed on to the Crown Prosecution Service. Brand denies the accusations.
A mother of 5 says she feared her sleeping children were about to be killed, sharing chilling details of a terrifying home invasion.
At least 7 masked and armed men smashed their way into the Melbourne home, destroying everything they could in a minute of mayhem.
Armed and on a mission. Relentless, the masked trio hack into this Melton home with machetes, axes and golf clubs. Inside are 5 children, all fast asleep, while their mother was across the road for a neighbour's baby shower.
They just came in, they tried to kill my kid.
Once inside, more members of the armed gang emerged from the street, on foot and by car.
When they hear the bangs, they ran out in the backyard.
More than 7 intruders caused chaos in the home for just over a minute before they fled and ran into Rebecca outside.
One of boy almost killed me because it was a big weapon when I came out to that house. He ran to me.
They destroyed everything in their path.
I'm thinking my kid, they all died because the way when I saw them ran out from the house.
Smashed glass strewn all over, appliances destroyed. Her son's door is now unrecognisable.
My son heard them coming.
Oh my God.
And my son stand up and he put the door inside and they smashed the door outside.
One of her sons chased after the gang.
One of 15 years old is not found, they're not come home yet.
The others, thankful to have survived a night they'll never forget.
They're all shaking. They're all shaking. Very, very sad for them.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Tyra Stowers, 7 News.
Up next, a 7 News exclusive.
The suburbs set to get lightning-fast internet. We've got the NBN expansion plan. Find out if your place will be a part of the next rollout.
Why cash could make a comeback this Christmas, the tips for bargain hunters this silly season.
And urgent appeal, children going without and falling behind at school. How you can help. That's next.
People always want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Every Melbourne Cup, we get asked for tips.
I'm not the expert. Everything you need to know is in the West Australian.
The 2024 Melbourne Cup Guide, plus a free giant office sweepstakes poster, only in the West Australian tomorrow.
Lightning-fast internet is set to supercharge more homes and businesses as the NBN expands its network. More than 9 million homes and businesses across Australia are set to benefit, and setting it up is simple. Monique Dirks explains.
Using state-of-the-art equipment, the team at Real Response train first responders using virtual reality, a process that requires high-speed internet.
We're working on 50 gigabyte files for our simulations, so it's really important that we can get on and help them as quickly as possible.
They recently made the switch to high-speed NBN, which has proved to be a game changer. Now ultra-fast internet is coming to 145,000 more homes and businesses across Australia.
No matter where you live, the demand for a fast and reliable internet connection on the NBN network, has never been higher.
More than 60 locations will benefit in WA, including Kingsley, North Coogee and Parkerville. Further from the city, Cervantes, 2J, South Boulder, Cowarramup and Albany. The upgrade involves extending a fibre optic cable from the street to inside the premises, replacing the existing copper.
Even if you don't need it now, in 5 years' time or 2 years' time, if you do need it, it's ready to go and you can order the upgrade.
The expansion will be complete by late 2025. To check your eligibility, visit the NBN website. Monique Dirks, 7 News.
The family of a teenage boy who was knocked off his e-scooter have released these photos as their son recovers in hospital. 15-year-old Deegan suffered serious head injuries when a car struck his e-scooter Friday afternoon. He was rushed to Perth Children's Hospital where he underwent life-saving surgery. Police are investigating the cause of the accident. The male driver was not injured.
There's a growing educational gap between children who can and can't access internet-connected laptops at home. Closing the digital divide is the priority of the Smith family's Christmas appeal this year, hoping to raise millions to help our most disadvantaged students.
12-year-old Maddie is about to head on a new educational adventure. She starts high school next year.
I do want to make new friends. So I will be a little bit nervous.
So too Mum Kelly, but for different reasons.
It's quite hard to try and juggle everything and doing it on my own with one income.
Recently relying on the Smith family to make ends meet.
The back to school uniforms and pencils and pens, stationeries, all that, it's been a godsend to have that little bit of help.
Today's economy means paying for school supplies is harder than ever.
Often it means that there's additional things that you need to fund for your child, including a digitally connected laptop.
Far more costly than pens and paper, electronic devices are now considered essential for high school students. Homework too can't be completed without connecting to the internet. But a quarter of Year 10 students and 40% of Year 6 students don't have access to a suitable device outside school. NAPLAN results show those who are disadvantaged can fall up to 5 years behind their peers.
And it was just lucky enough that the Smith family offers that little bit of help.
The Smith family is hoping to raise $5 million during this year's Christmas appeal. Money not just to support families financially, but also fund academic programs for children.
It's helped me a lot with transition to high school.
With the right support at the right time, young people can have an opportunity to make the most of their education and set themselves up.
To donate, head to the Smith family website. Andrew Denny, 7 News.
With Black Friday just around the corner, compulsive shoppers are being urged to leave the credit cards at home and use cash instead. Experts say while sales are supposed to help us save money, many bargain hunters are racking up thousands of dollars in debt.
Adelaide mum Rachel Ryan knows firsthand how quickly the end-of-year sales can add up.
When you're purchasing 10 or 20 items that are cheap, you've blown out your budget.
For years, the 39-year-old spent far more than she could afford, and this time of year was particularly tough.
There's, flashing sale signs in your face constantly.
But when the family found itself $70,000 in debt, it was time to get help.
We do find people getting into strife.
My Budget Director Tammy Barton warns bargain hunting can be a trap. You think you're doing yourself a favour until there's no money left.
A bill comes in or the car breaks down and you've already spent that money because you got a good deal on something that you didn't really need.
And buyer remorse quickly sets in with a Finder survey showing almost 50% of shoppers have made a credit card purchase they now regret. While cash is no longer king, money experts say if you're at risk of overspending, then use it. This way you won't find yourself owing the bank what you can't afford.
And you go, wow, this money is slipping through my fingers really quickly. I can see what is left.
Physically holding cash can make you feel a little more connected to the spend.
And with saving tips under her belt, Rachel's confident this Christmas will be debt-free.
It feels really good. I know that I can swipe past the sales now.
Gertie Sperling, 7 News.
Still to come on 7 News.
Shrouded in mystery, a rare World War I artefact. How it's set to play a special role this Remembrance Day.
The comment about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce that made his brother snap.
And get ready to meet little Caesar, the lion cub stealing hearts. Which zoo he's calling home.
Plus, how you can help the largest of its kind genetics study into Parkinson's disease. That's coming up.
And coming up in sport, tempers flare at the cricket, setting the scene for a big summer. Plus, did the Dockers earn a home final? And what's got Noel Gallagher so upset?
From the day that we were born,
Bingo's got my baby.
we've been headed down our track. Sometimes it's made for good, sometimes for bad. But if we look behind us, there's a wave coming down.
I have the best daddy in the whole world.
To create the age of reason. What about the world around us?
Get back to the car.
How can we fail to see?
Someone's prayers have just been answered.
Now that our bodies are gone, and we've been left to carry on. What about the age of reason?
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Now it's time to meet Caesar, the 12-week-old lion cub stealing hearts at Darling Downs Zoo in Queensland. The fourth-generation African cub came as a complete shock for keepers because his 13-year-old mother was past her breeding age. Now Caesar is thriving on minced meat and is also honing his roar. And he's only just begun.
Very cute. American football legend Jason Kelce has been seen exploding with rage when a so-called fan unleashed a homophobic slur on brother Travis over his relationship with Taylor Swift. Kelce was chased down after taking off with the fan's smashed phone before another verbal altercation. The Now TV commentator is yet to comment.
A rare wooden cross from World War I is the centrepiece of a unique memorial to an Australian digger to be unveiled on Remembrance Day. The cross was recently discovered under a house and no one knows how it got there.
Part of Harry is here with us now, I think.
Historians believe it's the only World War I wooden grave cross in Australia outside the War Memorial.
When I saw it all together, make no mistake, I became quite emotional about it.
Harry Conway's mates made it when he was killed in France. He was just 19.
He was shot from behind, very severely, evacuated to a military hospital, unfortunately succumbed to his wounds.
It was eventually sent to his grief-stricken mother Rosamond in Melbourne. When she died in 1940, it disappeared.
So this is it?
But 81 years later, found in the garage of Graham Fennell's family home, buried.
Pushed in under there and hidden away somewhere for so long.
His family has no connection to Harry's, a total mystery.
Do you have any idea how it got there? No idea at all.
He gave it to the RSL.
In one word, probably wow.
They've turned it into the centrepiece of a unique memorial to Harry, alongside this medallion sent to his mother, bought and treasured by Harold Muir's family at a deceased estate auction.
That was 1940 and he had it until he died in 2019.
It'll be officially opened on Remembrance Day.
So that we never forget Harry, and we never will.
And I'm sure on every Remembrance Day in the future, we'll raise a glass to Harry.
That'll be Harry's corner for eternity. Nick McCallum, 7 News.
Nick McCallum, 7 News. 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 7
Australian scientists on a mission to cure Parkinson's disease. Still to come, how you can help the largest genetic study of its kind. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News.
But first, Ryan's here with Sport. And Ryan, a shock for the Indian cricket team.
And Tim, something that has never happened to them before. History made. What'll it mean for our summer of cricket? That's next. Plus, standing tall, is this the man to open for Australia? And locked in, where, when and who for Freo in next week's AFLW final. Cricket Australia hosed down the first flashpoint of the Indian summer before Nathan McSweeney's match-winning unbeaten 88 for Australia A, earning Pat Cummins' approval. Umpires accused the Indian A team of ball tampering. They were cleared quickly.
It might not be India's top-line team, but this altercation has set up a spicy summer in the Test arena.
When you scratch it, you change the ball. That's what, but right in the Test. All right, no more discussion, let's play.
So we're going to play with this ball?
You're playing with that ball.
That's a very stupid decision, I guess.
Excuse me, you'll be on report for dissent. Yeah, okay. That's inappropriate behaviour.
Ishan Kishan later cleared of any sanction, while Nathan McSweeney went about his business in a Test audition.
That is 50 for McSweeney, the main man in Mackay.
An unbeaten 88 putting him in the box seat to partner Usman Khawaja at the top of the order.
I think I'm playing pretty well at the moment. I'm real confident in my game, and I think, I'm progressing and I'm batting some of the best innings I've played. The opportunity comes, I feel like I'm ready.
The skipper subtly suggesting it's down to McSweeney or Sam Constas.
I mean, the reality is you try and make a debut as comfortable and for someone as you can, but it's a Test debut. Like it's whoever it is, they're going to be feeling nerves.
That potential debut rules out Bancroft, Harris and Renshaw. As for the squabbling around the rest of the batting order,
there's a lot of joking around and a lot of opinions, but it's all very well intentioned. We have made a few jokes, especially the bowlers.
Tomorrow at the MCG, the first of 3 one-dayers against Pakistan, a lead-in for February's Champions Trophy. Cummins himself committed to the first 2 before preparing for the Test summer.
2 weeks before the first Test, we'll make sure we do loads of red ball and centre wickets to try and replicate it.
Tim Hipsley, 7 News.
Chasing 147 to avoid a 3-0 series whitewash against New Zealand, India collapsed to 5 for 29 as locals watched on in stunned silence. Rishabh Pant came to the rescue until copping a dicey decision on 64. Third umpire Paul Rifle gave him out court.
Whoa. What a moment in this Test match.
From 7 for 121, India lost 3 for none to lose by 25 runs. The Black Caps are the first team to sweep India in a home Test series of 3 or more matches. In the Sheffield Shield, a stunning half-century from Hilton Cartwright has put WA in a commanding position against Tassie. WA declared at 9 for 460 and took a pair of wickets late today to have Tasmania reeling. WA leads by 133 runs with a day to play. The Fremantle Dockers will host Essendon in an AFLW elimination final next weekend. Results earlier today meant Freo's game against the Western Bulldogs this afternoon became a dead rubber, but the Dockers didn't take the foot off the pedal, winning the game by 14 points. The Dockers will now host the Bombers at Fremantle Oval next Saturday in a do-or-die final. Bounce down will be at 4 p.m. The Wildcats copped a hammering at the hands of the South Melbourne Phoenix this afternoon. Nathan Sobey led the hosts with 20 points. The Phoenix led by 12 at the first break, and they never looked back.
Oh my goodness! Just as comfortable as you like.
It was a deflating way for Jesse Wagstaff to officially break the Wildcats club record of 483 games played, going past Ricky Grace. Manchester City's 32-game unbeaten run in the Premier League ended with a 2-1 loss at Bournemouth and a miserable Noel Gallagher. Liverpool defeated Brighton 2-1 to replace City on top of the table.
It's Salah! Fantastic!
Nottingham Forest thrashed West Ham 3-0 to jump to third, their highest position in 26 years. Arsenal slipped to fourth, going down 1-0 to Newcastle. International stars are hoping to take out Australia's most popular race on Tuesday. The Melbourne Cup field is set with one last vet check pending.
A final hit out at Werribee. This is the home for international runners in the Melbourne Cup. French gelding Vauban now the favourite for the second year in a row. Harry Eustace trained Sea King has made the journey over from the UK, booking a spot after a debut victory in the Bendigo Cup.
It's all pretty new to him, the tie-ups and all that sort of stuff is very different to how it happens at home, but he was very relaxed. Bendigo Cup Day versus Melbourne Cup Day have a different feel to it, so that'll be part of the challenge for him.
Eustace is a household name in the racing world. His brother David won the iconic race with Gold Trip in 2022.
Winning it isn't something we've sort of let ourselves consider just yet, but as I say, it's a huge race to be a part of.
Brian Ellison has had his fair share of bad luck racing in Australia, with a number of runners previously scratched at the last minute. Despite that, he keeps coming back.
It's a fantastic place to come. Racing's good, people are nice.
One smooth operator passing yesterday's vet test after failing a day earlier. There's one more to get through tomorrow.
It's not pleasant when your horses you come out here and you don't run, but we had that little bit mishap with the shoe, but it's treatable, so it was fine.
Ellison coming to Australia with low expectations, but after his 7-year-old gelding had a convincing Geelong Cup win, he's daring to dream.
Hopefully win the Melbourne Cup, and that'll be good as well. We'll see.
Kate Massey, 7 News.
Oscar Piastri took one for the team at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Leading the sprint race from pole, Piastri followed orders to let teammate Lando Norris pass, cutting Max Verstappen's championship lead to 44 points.
Not proud about it, but we worked well as a team together, so I thank Oscar. Great day from the team and a lot of points.
Rain delayed main qualifying till just before tomorrow's Grand Prix. And the accolades keep flowing in for Jess Fox, Australian Paddler of the Year again, sealed by 2 Olympic titles in Paris.
Winning those 2 gold medals was historic, but winning the 50th World Cup gold medal was also such a big moment.
Paris gold medalist Curtis McGrath is Paralympic Paddler of the Year. Big week ahead for Freo guys, and they're in good form at the right time.
They sure are.
Best of luck to them. Thank you, Rhino. It's one of the country's most common neurological conditions, but the cause of Parkinson's disease largely remains a mystery.
A new study examining the genetic risk factors is showing great promise, but the research has stalled, with scientists now asking for your help.
The advice is usually to steer clear of Dr. Google, but for Christine Majorana, it unlocked a life-changing diagnosis and the reason for an unusual complaint.
I was smelling cigarette smoke 24/7, which I Googled, and that was the first time Parkinson's had been mentioned.
Making sense of other symptoms, including tremors, the 54-year-old was then formally diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And my dad conveniently went, "Oh, that's what your grandfather had."
Around 15% of cases involve family history, but researchers believe there could actually be far more, with groundbreaking research now hoping to crack the disease's genetic code. The Australian Parkinson's Genetics Study is working to pinpoint the genes that influence symptoms and their progression to enable new, personalised and more effective therapies.
Will inform us as to perhaps more genetic risk factors that we may not be aware of.
The study is being held up though, with researchers struggling to recruit enough people over 45 with no family connection to Parkinson's disease.
Because we are still short of 7,000 people who don't have Parkinson's.
You just need to fill out a questionnaire online. If you're eligible, you'll be sent a pack to provide a saliva sample that you return via post. Amber Laidler, 7 News.
You're watching 7 News live from Perth. Still to come.
A cool start to the working week. Your full weather forecast is up after the break.
Australia this week on Sunrise, the most important election of our lifetime.
Join me live at the White House for this historic moment in US presidential history.
As votes are counted and results come in, the impact to Australia and the world. Plus, defying gravity with the entire cast of Wicked. The stars are in Australia and on Sunrise. And the Duchess of York Down Under.
Fergie's here at Brekkie Central with the big announcement.
Start with Sunrise.
It was sunny across Perth today, but an early sea breeze kept the city cool. 22 was our max. Looking interstate, warm and sunny for Brisbane tomorrow, a shower or two for Sydney, 20 the top for Melbourne. Here in the west, mostly clear and hot across the Kimberley, Pilbara and Goldfields, 24 and partly cloudy for Geraldton, showers possible for Margaret River. On local waters, winds will reach 20 knots, shifting west-southwesterly late morning with a 1 metre swell. So tonight in Perth, it'll get down to 11 degrees, then mostly sunny, and 23 tomorrow. A shower or two for Tuesday, cool and partly cloudy on Wednesday. Back to sunny weather from Thursday and heating up for next weekend.
And that is 7 News for this Sunday. Thanks for joining us.
Stay with us now for Spotlight's US Elections special. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening from all the team. Have a great night.